Morning.
Good morning.
Welcome back.
Welcome back to Wednesday's Facebook Live. And what are we talking about this morning?
We're talking about how you actually stop. How do you stop those behaviours that you don't want to do anymore? Like stop yelling, stop. For me, it was less yelling, it was more shutting down and distancing myself. But so many behaviours how do we become aware and we decide to do the work to stop them?
Yes, because for me, people would tell me, I remember my breastfeeding journey, which was really, really difficult for me. And people would be telling me how to do it or what I needed to do and giving me advice. And it never seemed to work. Nothing seemed to work. Or then later on, I'd be reading the books that said, and I understood yelling at your kids or not being patient with your children was definitely something that I aspired to be like, but I didn't seem to be able to do it, particularly if I had other things on my mind or if I was doing something else. I didn't seem to be able to be present and connected with my children and be doing other things. I did not have the patience to do that. So, and this is why eventually down the track, 20 years down the track, after all the searching and all the trying to find what do you actually do to change this, because all the things that just someone giving me advice, it didn't work. It really didn't work. And people would say, just breathe, Ilka, and I'd want to punch them in the face, because that to me was just a temporary fix. It wasn't getting to the source of what was really going on for me. And that is why we created this 8-week course after me going and learning Fast EFT and using it on myself for a couple of years, and then working with clients now for over 7 years. Because now I know how to make the really, really deep changes that are required to stop these triggers, because the triggers are all the way back to your past. They're all the parts of you that are hurt, that are in pain, that are still suppressing, I suppressed, God knows how many shit tons of anger was suppressed. That was now being projected onto my children anytime I kind of got to a point where I was frustrated or whatever. So this stuff would come out, and my children were the ones who would suffer. So we don't run this course because we got parenting really, in fact, I did a session actually with my daughter yesterday. And, it really brought a tear to my eye telling Jo about it this morning, because I feel so privileged and she said to me, Mum, this is so special that we can do this, but we're working on the shit that, me putting her in a plastic box pretty well half an hour after she was fucking born. And she couldn't hear me because I didn't know any different back then. So we don't run this course because we're the perfect fucking parents. Sorry, I'm swearing this morning. We don't. We really don't. We run it because we're really passionate that I was so fucked up back then. I was really, really fucked up, and I didn't know how to change it. And when somebody said to me, just do this, Ilka, just breathe, just have patience, just, and I'd be like, ah!
Well, you weren't fucked up. You were just following the programming that had been given to you.
Yeah. I felt fucked up back then, though. I really did. I really did. I really did.
Yeah. I'm noticing with my daughters, especially as they're young adults now, and how much they seem to enjoy having family around them and being sociable and having kindness and care within the family and the extended family. And I didn't really provide that for them. When I think about my parenting, I was very efficient and really ran it more like a business than a family, and to see my girls
Right.
to see my girls doing life differently, and seeking supportive, kind, caring family around them is really exciting, and I'm really happy for them that they found that. And that's again what Ilka said. Our course didn't come from feeling like we got parenting right and we're going to show you how to do it right.
No. In fact, I think if you went back, especially and watched me with my oldest daughter, if you were kind of a really nurturing, caring, connected mother, you would be following me around just fucking shaking your head, going, what the hell is this woman doing? Is she on drugs? Well,
it's because,
and not the the calming kind.
Yeah, you need to paint the picture for us a little more. It's because you working in the family business was important to you, and
people pleasing.
And doing all the time. You couldn't be over here just spending time with your child.
No, not even, like I was thinking, probably not even 1 hour did I ever sit down and spend that. Like, that's why breastfeeding was so hard for me. When I finally, and this is the other thing, like breastfeeding's such a good example, because when I finally got to my third child, I'd worked out myself, I knew enough about it that I'd worked it out that I could walk around and feed. So I could bring my children and their nurturing into my life and make something like this win-win that I always talk about. And this is what I'm so passionate about helping you to do too. It's not about saying you have to change. It's about seeing that there are win-win solutions out there where a mother can be a busy kind of mother, but she can also be connected with her children, because you can carry them around and be a busy kind of mother. But I didn't know that back then. I had people giving me all sorts of advice that they should sleep in their cot, and I didn't know that they could just... And it seems so strange to say this, because I said to my daughter yesterday, if I'd had my time over again, you would just go around with me everywhere I went, and you would sleep in bed with me, and we would always be connected, and it would make life so much easier. But I didn't know that back then, and I did that more and more as my other children came along. And I look back at some of the things that I did now, and they were barbaric. Seriously, they were barbaric. They were so terrible.
Same.
I've tapped enough on myself to be able to say this and not have a whole lot of guilt and a whole lot of shame come up, and this is the power of tapping, you see. The power of tapping is that there's no shame, there's no guilt. I was actually able to sit with my daughter yesterday for 2 hours and help her to shift a lot of the things that happened for her, and we actually did work on the birth and how she experienced that whole thing and the breastfeeding experience. So it was incredibly powerful stuff. Hello, here's my mum, and hello, Arwen. We have some beautiful supporters, everyone that's watching. We really value you all, and I lost my train of thought.
It's just sitting with your daughter. That's really powerful to be able to have those conversations, and the faster EFT with her, where the stuff that she's having difficulty with at the moment is stuff that you were a part of when she was little. So so here we have a mum helping a child work through her stuff based on what we did with them. And that's pretty darn amazing, to not take offence, to be calm, and to support them in working through whatever they are feeling around those situations.
And that is the big difference, and that's what the tapping process and the faster EFT process, which is a lot more than tapping. Anyone that's been doing the faster EFT process with me knows that it really deep dives. We deep dive back to these times. We often do your own birth. A lot of the patterns that are set up in your own birth. So they are, me feeling not wanted in life was set up in my own birth. And I didn't even, until I had children, I really didn't think that was such a big thing. It was only when I started to project all of my shit all over my kids that I started to realise, far out, what is going on with me? What about you,
Same
Jo?
with me. Probably the biggest thing was with me feeling lonely as a child, even within a family, and then with my kids, sending them to their rooms on their own, like so that they're on their own to deal with their big emotions. And that's me projecting my shit of, my loneliness, you go away and be on your own and deal with your stuff.
Yeah, I did that one too.
Come back to me when you're all happy again, or you can put a fake smile on your face.
So the pattern is passed down the line, and I definitely did that. My children now say to me, Mum, you weren't so good at dealing with our emotions. And I'm like, I wasn't good at dealing with my own emotions. I especially wasn't good at dealing with anger. Like I wanted to, but listen to what I said before. If you're just coming on now, I was talking about how much suppressed anger I was carrying around, and I didn't really realise until I had children how big a galaxy worth of suppressed anger. So then when your children are doing things or sometimes it comes out because you have these expectations of your kids that you don't even know are there, and they're really expectations of yourself. So they're all the things that you feel like you haven't achieved in life yet. And then when your child isn't, getting up on their bike for the third time, all of a sudden you're frustrated as hell, and you can't understand why you're losing your shit at your child because they can't get on their bike. They haven't even started to learn to ride a bike, but you haven't got any this was me anyway, so if you resonate with my story, I totally get it, like this frustration that I'd always have because I had such high expectations of myself, and I also had a belief that I'd never fulfilled them. And I was never going, maybe I'd never fulfill them. So then I'm projecting that shit onto my children. So again, our course is not because over Christmas it was really funny. So many people, they know I run a parenting course. So in front of me, it's like they kept asking me, so what should I do in this situation? And I was always like, This is exactly where I didn't know what to do. I totally get that why you're feeling like this right now. I'm not running this course because I knew what to do.
Yeah, and why you can read the books that tell you what to do, but we still can't actually implement the new behaviour.
Yeah.
Because it is stuck so deep in our subconscious, in our memories, in our childhood, in the links to our past. And that's what we do. We break the links to the past so that you can be in the present moment and not have your crap coming up from the past. And then it's so much easier to just be in the company of your children being themselves.
Yes.
And you being yourself as well, and not placing any expectation on you on them or them on you.
Yeah.
You just get to be you.
Get to be you.
So peaceful.
It's so peaceful. It's in the moment. It's incredible, really. And that's how your life can be. Like it really is quite amazing. So I was thinking then, and Jo, you're going to be really impressed with this, because I was actually thinking, so what steps do people have to actually take if they want to know, like, how do I do this? How do I dive deeper? Well, I would say the first step is, say yes. Send us a message that says, yes, I would like to know more. And then we can do a 30-minute discovery call with you. If that's what you want, or say yes and we will send you out the information. Our next course is starting in 1st of February. So that is coming up very soon. And the how-to is really in that course. The next, after that, once you've signed up, the step will be that we will work out the best time that you can do one of the group calls. And that means you'll be on a call with 2 or 3 other mums who are also dedicated to changing these triggers, changing these programs. They're open to talking about where they get triggered. And I can't, like, the level of honesty in these calls is phenomenal. I don't know whether you'll experience that anywhere else in the world. Seriously, the value that you're getting out of this course is just, I don't know, it's off the charts, really. And I don't talk about this like about my own course very often, but I thought, fuck it, this morning I'm gonna just go for it, because it's like getting one-on-one time with somebody who was the mother perhaps that you don't want to be. So I totally understand. In fact, I am so there with you, and I am so non-judgmental, like, because I was that person. I probably did 10 times worse than you've done. So I walked off down the road from my children. I did all this really shitty stuff, like really, really bad, that I am not proud of today. But I'm glad that I've shifted the guilt around it and the shame around it, because if I carried that around for the rest of my life, I may never have the relationship that I have with myself now, for one, because it starts there, and I may never have had the relationships with my children that I now have, where I'm not judging them all the time. I'm not expecting them to be someone they're not. I'm not putting my shit all over them, which is what I used to do all the fucking time. So it's pretty fucking big what we do in our course. It really is. Fuck, I feel like we shouldn't even post this video, but it's going live. So we're going to have to. But it is. So that's the step. You get in there on the calls, and you're there with these incredibly honest, courageous women. Like, so much fucking courage to say what is triggering them that week around their children in front of other people. Can you imagine the level of support that is going to give you? There is no judgment, no judgment. It's like totally accepting that you are here to find where that comes from in your own childhood, because it comes from somewhere. Yeah. I can absolutely tell you, it comes from somewhere. For me, it was a lot of suppressed anger. For you?
Yeah, suppressed anger, but I did it in silence and distancing myself, where you were louder. And
yeah, it just comes out in different ways, in the way that we're triggered or the way that our behaviours are. But it was there, right? And I'm sure there's still bits of it still there.
and it's a different way of living your life when you move from blame, like blaming your child for their behaviour or blaming your partner for his behaviour. It's a different way of living, to look at yourself, what's going on inside me, what's triggering me, and then to be in a group of people where you can be honest about that and shift your guilt and shame around that is rare. Very rare.
It is rare, and that's why, Jo and I, like, we're trying to step up to in our business and how we market ourselves and all of this. And our course at the moment is what, 947
or 10 weeks at $100.
You get a lot of my time. I'm working with 10 or so mums at the moment. So I would encourage you, if you're watching this video and you're thinking that you'd like to do some of this deep work, and you're sick of like people saying to you, just breathe, or even just tap on yourself, because that's a little tool that you can use. But it's what we do is explore. We go to the depths of what happened in your own childhood. We do some really deep work in the calls. And that's why this course is so valuable. That's the part you want to get on board with, because I can absolutely tell you that the price of this course is going to go up, because I love to give value. And so I've only got so much time in the week, and I want to give it to the people who really want to make these changes and who really want to become the parents that are, peaceful, calm, accepting of their children, because they know that it starts with them. If you don't start with yourself, you can't be the parent or the mum, the dad that you want to be with your kids. It just doesn't work that way. Or even your partner. Like if you're finding that you're, projecting stuff onto your partner, if you're cranky with them, if you're mad with them, and this was me too, like I had so many frustrations with my partner, with my husband, and how he parented. And yeah, I wasn't doing it very well. And when he didn't do it well, oh my goodness, I became, I just turned into a big monster. And we had battle after battle after battle in front of my children around his kind of authoritarian style parenting, even though I was doing it too and didn't know how to change it. So I know that many of the mums in our group come to us, and this is one of the big ones that and
for me it was different. We had different ideas to my husband often, but it was so important for us to show a united front, that I never spoke up when I didn't feel that when I felt that things could have been done better and more honouring of our children, I never spoke up.
Yeah, and the thing, what Jo's saying there and what you start to learn in the calls is that Jo has many, many good reasons, many vows that she made as a child because of her particular scenarios that she saw in her life growing up that were way, way different to mine. So, and you'll have different, again, everybody is only coming from the experiences and what we call them in Fast RT, the proofs, the references that you are, still playing in your mind, and that's what you're living from. So, yeah, so we take a deep dive into that. Like the way Jo does life is totally, like if you'd had Jo's life, then you would do life very similar to Jo. If you'd made the same decisions, had the same thought processes, reacted the same way to the experiences that happened to her, then you would turn out like a clone of Jo. And the same with me. If you grew up in my life, you reacted to the things that happened to you, you'd be similar to me. This is how it works. We're all growing from the experiences that we had as a child. Our belief systems come from that, our behaviour comes from that, and that's when we really dive into that and know that you can change that. That's when you'll see the bigger changes in your behaviour, because we're really going to the root of where it comes from. We're not just going, and this is tapping in the heat of the moment is a big one. It is one of probably, I think, the best tools out there, because heat of the moment, if you can stop yourself, and I used to not be able to, guys, so I get how difficult that is. I wanted to get angry, because all this suppressed anger, it's finally starting to bubble up. Oh my God, I'm finally starting to let it out. And for once, the back of my head is not going, oh, you shouldn't do that, Ilka. You've got to be a good girl. Don't do that. Don't do that. And so the cascade of the anger wanting to come out was so huge that if someone said to me, oh, just tap, I just want to punch that person in the face. So I have so much gratitude for my mentor, Robert. I had many other people who helped me, practitioners. They took me back to childhood. They found out we found where all of this anger was. We helped my little inner child to express herself and be angry at the people that she felt were disrespecting her, abusing her, not being nice to her, and allowed her to express that. All the ways I wasn't, allowed to. I wasn't allowed to stand up for myself because of the adults. You've got to respect an adult when you're a child.
That's why the sessions.
Had some scary adults around me.
That's why the sessions are so important, because sometimes we're releasing like 20, 30, 40 years of suppressed anger, frustration, pain. Yes. And to be with a practitioner in the beginning is really, really important. And I remember when I first did it 7 years ago, and I really did. I was metaphorically on the floor in the fetal position, crying for my life.
Yeah. Because we don't understand, and this is why Jo and I we are not joking when we say our children are our greatest teachers, because until my children came along, I didn't realise how much shit was suppressed. And I'm going to say something, this isn't medical advice or anything like that, but over my 7 years now of working with mothers, nearly everybody I've worked with has been a mother, and we've addressed some of these things. I totally, this is my belief only, it's my opinion, think that these things like postnatal depression, right? To me, it's when you have this little baby and this little baby's in front of you and they're just a little mirror of you. And so all of your past that you've never been willing to face, however old you are when you have this little baby come into your life, is now sitting there in front of you. And then we go off to the doctor and we find out I would have found out I had postnatal depression. I don't usually go to doctors, but I know that's what they would have told me. And I didn't want to hear that, probably because of my own programs as well. But again, by going back and like working on the things and releasing this suppressed anger, all the things that were coming up, the emotional stuff, to me, at the root of every disease is emotion. You know, it's suppressed emotion. It's some kind of way felt like you didn't have control, you were powerless, or and so it's just continuing in your own life. Now, to see a little baby in front of you and think, far out, I'm not doing life too well. Like deep down, if I'm really truthful to myself, which I wasn't being back then, but in my dark moments, I was being truthful. I was just crying my eyes out, or I was getting angry at my husband. So in my dark moments, I feel like I'm probably the most truthful to myself, but I don't know how to change it. And here I am, like they would have said postnatal depression, but it's just my inner child going, far out, I've got a little baby in front of me and I do not know how to take care of myself. I feel shit most of the time, you know, so how the hell am I going to raise this child? I don't know. And it's like, fuck, you know. So I just think that, in my opinion, that is what postnatal depression is. And now that I've got the tools and I've seen how I can make the transformation in myself, I've even more strong in that conviction. And I've seen how many people in my life, because I hang around a lot of people who believe the same things as me, a lot of fast EFT practitioners, a lot of people who are working on the emotional stuff. And that this is not big in society anymore. I mean, Jo and I have been having a discussion this morning about growing our business, but this stuff we do is not, you know, everybody, there's not masses of doctors out there saying it's the emotion. It is changing, and I am eternally grateful for people like Gabor Mate, Mate, I think he is, people like that in the world. You know, Joe Dispenza, Bruce Lipton, Dr. Shefali, people who, Teal Swan, people that we follow that show you, and that they are growing, that the emotional stuff is if you clear the emotional stuff, then everything in your life will change. Everything. Yeah, because it's at the base of it all. I'm very passionate about this stuff.
Yeah, well, we had a big discussion in the lead up to this Facebook Live this morning. So if you're interested in finding out more about the course and how to change your life, change your behaviour, and let go of emotional pain, then come on board. PM us or pop a yes in the comments below. And in the next 2 weeks, the doors are open now, and in the next 2 weeks is where we answer questions. We have our free discovery calls and find out where you are in your life and if this work really resonates with you. No, we don't do the bullshit marketing. You know, if it's right for you, it's right for you, and we will find each other.
Yeah. And the other thing, when you were saying that, made me think of the support system around you. I can't say enough about that. I think about the mothers that do come and do the calls with me, and there's a few that kind of are friends with each other, but most of them are like little, I call them like the lighthouses in their community. So they are going out and mixing with, what shall I say? I don't want to say like normal people, but people who are just not as passionate about the fact that, yelling at your children is not okay. They're not as passionate about changing authoritarian style parenting. They go, oh, well, it worked for me, it's fine, it's okay. And again, I love that in the world at the moment, this is growing. The number of people that want to change this paradigm is really growing, and that's wonderful. But I find that the people on our course are like the little lighthouses of their community, and that can be really lonely. Like, that means that you're going out into a playgroup situation, and believe you me, doing my course, be fair warned. Because once the girls will all, can testify to this. If anybody that's doing the course is watching this, and they all tell me this, that when they go out into the course, when they go out into their jobs, when they call it Ilka, they become Ilka. Like, they say, oh, I was Ilka today. Because they start learning how to listen for people's belief systems and to start asking questions, perhaps. Instead of judging, it's like asking questions, seeing where that person's coming from, and really trying, and it's like to stop yourself wanting to deep dive down into everybody's childhood and see where something comes from is really difficult too, because that if they do that, they're going to make the change. Okay, so you can't do that with everyone though, guys. Like, some people are not ready for this. They're just not ready. So that's the other thing, that if you are interested in this stuff and you want to be around a group of people, our group is going to grow, and get involved in it and come and do our course, and then you'll be able to make friends. I know a lot of the women that have met in the course they chat outside of the calls that we do. And that's because there's finally somebody that gets how passionate they are about being this mum, being this dad, and they've got somebody to talk about it with. So yeah, that's really, really valuable as well.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. I love that analogy,
you'll
the
never
lighthouse.
think the same way again.
It's true.
No, you won't. And that be fair warned about that, because you're going to step into a whole new level of thinking, a whole new level of feeling, and you're going to feel so much more peaceful, so much more calm, and you know that you can keep going towards that. And it's incredibly powerful to know that you can keep, your whole life is about becoming more peaceful, more calm, being able to be that lighthouse for more and more people, because just by seeing how you are, they are going to go, wow, like what are you doing? What are you doing? Yeah. Just by seeing maybe how calm you can stay with your child, or just the change, like, they will be curious, and that in itself is big. And then we love it if you keep sending them our way, or you can step up and do things yourself too. So it's really, really cool. And because the important thing for us is that just more children and more experience the connection, and they again,
and we stop the cycle.
Yes, we stop the cycle. Yeah,
cool.
It keeps getting better and better. Peace on earth.
Thanks for being with us.
Yeah, thank you.
And pop a comment below or PM us, and we can chat some more. And,
yes, we'd love to see you.
Yeah, we'll see you again next week.
Oh, and it's in the announcements as well, if you want to see more about it.
Okay.
Okay.
Have a great
Bye.
week. Bye.
See ya.